The ACLU has long been synonymous with freedom of speech. They defended it from even the most hated groups like the Nazis, the Klan, even the Jehovah's Witnesses. It was never about what you were saying. It was about the liberal principle of your right to say it. Well, they have new guidelines now, namely that before taking a case, ACL lawyers should consider if the case might cause offense to marginalized groups, or if a potential client's values are contrary to our values. Contrary to our values? Your values are free speech.
You'd think that with the whole woke carnival finally packing up its tents, the corporations that once drank that rainbow-colored Kool-Aid would finally snap out of their trance. Some actually did, but a stubborn bunch still clings to the same self-sabotaging dogma that tanked their stock prices and torched their credibility. And then comes Bill Maher, the sharp-tongued, battle-hardened, anti-woke crusader, marching straight into the flames to finish what he started. But he didn't just rant about it. He struck the match live on air, roasting hypocrisy right in front of millions.
If you become the opposite of what you always were, you have to change your name. It's become a trend in America these days, morphing into something completely different from what you were founded as, but still pretending you're the old you. TLC stands for the Learning Channel. They used to have shows like Learn to Read and Ready, Set, Learn. Here's some of their present and recent offerings. Cake Boss, Gypsy Sisters, Toddlers and Tiaras, Extreme Couponing, What Not to Wear, My Teen is Pregnant and So Am I. 1,000-Pound Sisters and Alaskan Women Looking for Love. And that's just the shows about the Palins.
Maher starts by roasting TLC, once the Learning Channel, for completely losing its purpose. What began as a network to educate and inspire has turned into a sideshow of woke absurdity. The documentaries and science programs that once challenged viewers are now replaced by reality shows glorifying obesity, chaos, and political conformity. His point lands hard. TLC didn't just lose direction, it threw its compass away, trading curiosity for conformity and becoming a symbol of how far corporate America has fallen in the name of virtue signaling.
The A in A&E stands for arts. Seriously. They used to show the symphony. Now they have Deep Fried Dynasty, Hoarders, Storage Wars, Ghost Hunters, and Psychic Kids. You know, for people who find the Learning Channel too intellectual.
Remember when the A in A&E actually stood for arts? Not anymore. What once featured symphonies and cultural storytelling now airs shows like Hoarders, Storage Wars, and Ghost Hunters. A&E, once a home for creativity and insight, has traded art for ideology, replacing genuine storytelling with woke narratives disguised as progress. It's as if the A has disappeared entirely, leaving only the E, and this time, it stands for empty. Maher drives it home. In chasing clicks and applause, A&E sacrificed integrity for ideology and turned art into spectacle.
The History Channel has no history, and MTV has no music. I'm just saying, you can buy a petting zoo and turn it into a bondage dungeon, but you gotta change the sign.
Maher's point is spot on, and it's hard to disagree. These networks are drowning in their own hypocrisy, clinging to brand names that no longer reflect what they actually stand for. If A&E is now just about lowbrow entertainment, then drop the pretense and call it E. And if TLC has traded learning for chaos, let's be honest, it's really TC, the Chaos Channel. Maher's criticism cuts deep. Don't wave the flag of virtue or heritage when you've abandoned both. Either live up to the name that built your reputation or admit you've sold out to the woke marketing department. Because at this point, these once great channels aren't broadcasting culture, they're broadcasting their own decline.
Last year, Playboy put a gay man on the cover, which I guess we're supposed to celebrate, even though it was 2021 and there's already a dozen magazines for gay guys, 13 if you count Martha Stewart Living. Do we really need LGBT representation in Playboy? There's a transgender teenager on every show on television except reruns of Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
And then there's Playboy. Yes, that Playboy. Suddenly deciding to join the woke parade. The magazine that once stood for boldness and confidence tried to reinvent itself through political correctness, aiming to appeal to new crowds. The result wasn't progress but desperation. In chasing relevance, Playboy alienated the very audience that made it iconic, trading its edge for empty virtue signaling. Maher calls it out perfectly. This wasn't evolution, it was surrender. A brand once defined by confidence is now defined by confusion.
The same thing is going on with the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, which now celebrates all kind of bodies except, the good kind. Was it really such a crime against humanity to have one magazine once a year that was about finding creative ways for supermodels to hide their nipples? Now it looks like it's edited by the Huffington Post.
The goal of this cultural shift was simple but biased: tear down masculinity while glorifying femininity. Being a man suddenly became something to mock, while femininity was put on a pedestal. We hear non-stop about toxic masculinity, but never toxic femininity. TV shows push the same idea: perfect moms, clueless dads. The message is clear: men are the problem. Maher sums it up perfectly. This isn't equality, it's a rewrite. Masculinity hasn't been forgotten, it's been mocked and weakened.
Valentine's Day, which was always a day to celebrate coupledom. It wasn't complicated. Flowers, chocolates, blah, blah. And yet, every year now, I more and more hear this idea that Valentine's Day is also a day to celebrate being alone. Be your own Valentine. That's right, on the one day was specifically set aside to honor bonding between two people. Don't do that. Make it about the opposite of that. Be your own Valentine. Get your own cheap, stale chocolates at CVS.
Maher then turned his gaze to Valentine's Day, and the results were hilarious. What used to celebrate love and connection has been hijacked and stripped of all joy. Now, being single is treated like a political statement, and wanting a partner somehow makes you weak or outdated. Maher mocked the absurdity perfectly. A day once about affection has turned into a self-love pep rally, where roses are replaced by hashtags and warmth by slogans. Valentine's Day, he argues, has become yet another casualty of ideology.
The Boy Scouts of America used to be an organization for boys because girls have cooties. But now the Boy Scouts accept girls, which I guess is inclusive, but it ignores the very important need for boys to sometimes get together as boys to fart in a sleeping bag and laugh at that, which girls don't find funny. It also ignores the fact that there has always also been a scout troop for girls. You may have heard of it, the Girl Scouts.
The woke agenda, Maher argues, never lets common sense get in the way. Take the Boy Scouts, for example, once clearly distinct from the Girl Scouts, each with its own purpose and values. But suddenly, in the name of inclusion, girls had to be welcomed into the Boy Scouts. The Girl Scouts already had their own strong tradition, yet the movement insisted on change where none was needed. Maher calls it out plainly: inclusion has turned into intrusion. It's no longer about equality, but about erasing differences that once made sense. The result? Confusion, controversy, and the slow breakdown of institutions that once built discipline, teamwork, and leadership, all sacrificed to the illusion of progress.
Can't anything just be what it is anymore? Weight Watchers used to be a club for people to lose weight, back when that was a good thing. Now we're so through the looking glass that obesity, the absolute undeniable #1 cause for ill health and death in America, is called body positivity. And people are shamed for losing weight. It happened to Adele. Weight Watchers is so intimidated they changed their name to WW. Why not just call yourselves wait, don't tell me?
The body positivity movement, noble at first, but quickly derailed. What began as self-love turned into glorifying obesity and dismissing health concerns as fat phobia. Maher calls it a ticking time bomb disguised as empowerment. You can't preach self-care while normalizing harm. In chasing feel-good slogans over science and common sense, the movement collapsed under its own contradictions. No matter the hashtags, unhealthy can't be made healthy.
Before taking a case, ACL lawyers should consider if the case might cause offense to marginalized groups, or if a potential client's values are contrary to our values. Contrary to our values? Your values are free speech and the First Amendment. Those are your values. Your whole purpose in life is not to be worried about offense to marginalized groups, because we understand that free speech is an even more important value than never being offended.
Since when did the ACLU start caring more about feelings than free speech? Once fearless defenders of liberty, they've become gatekeepers deciding what speech is acceptable. Maher calls it what it is: wokeness posing as progress. From TV networks to civil rights groups, principles have been traded for virtue signaling. They preach inclusion, but ignore common sense, celebrate authenticity but silence dissent. Maher's message is simple: destroying tradition isn't progress. It's chaos dressed as compassion.